Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Happy Chinese New Year's. As of the recording of this video, it is Chinese New Year's. So really just celebrating this transition from the year of the snake into the year of the horse. And it's a powerful one. And our webinar is not about that. It's really about finding calm using herbs and grounding in this season. And I just want to preamble that with we've all been through a lot in the last year. This energy is finally shifting into a new focus. So my intentionality as we move into this Chinese New Year is really to go strong with movement and power like the horse energy is. And so we'll start with that. But I'm going to just share my screen here and get us going. And I just want to get you to light up the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. Are you drinking any kind of beverage today, this afternoon? Myself, I'm having a blackberry focus tea, just kind of a calming, grounding herbal tea. So as always, time is your most valuable resource, and we're going to try and keep this to a maximum 45 minutes, but I've got a lot of slides on great herbs to talk about. Overwhelm, grounding, focus, calm. These are some of the biggest topics of our time right now. Most of us need to be one of 50 shades of crazy to live in the modern world. And what that means is that we often find ourselves dysregulated, or our energies are overcompensating, or our stress levels are high. And so this is an area of herbal medicine when it comes to adaptogens and nervines and medicinal mushrooms that I feel is really, really important and crucial, especially during these times. So I'm seeing the chat light up. We got some folks joining us from Ontario with the chamomile tea, some West Kootenays for Amanda. Nice to see you, and Joanne. Let us know where you're coming from. And as always, with webinars like this, it is recorded, and so you will have access to the recording. I might go through some of the slides really fast, so you can always pause it in the recording. You'll get that in an email follow-up if you sign up for the webinar. And if you just found your way in here and didn't sign up, well, go back and sign up and get the email recording. Yeah, and we're going to try and do a bit of a Q&A at the end. I can talk for hours, so we're going to try and keep this to our half-an-hour webinar presentation, but we might slide into 45 minutes before we get to Q&A. Okay, so taking a deep breath. Here we are in 2026, and the world is ripe with all kinds of opportunities to feel stress. And real resilience comes from our ability to ground and to focus and to stay present and empathic and connected during these times of stress. And this means recovery. This means relaxation. This means good sleep. This means also adding in various nutrition as well as herbal medicine that can support us in building that resilience. My belief is that all of us have the capacity to really deepen this, and we just sometimes don't have the tools. So I'm going to try and support you with a few tools and ideas on how to do this. Okay, let's just a quick touch in again. Got some folks joining us from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Nice. Corey's coming from Hope, drinking a chaga reishi tea. Another friend from Ontario, somebody from Nanaimo, somebody from Alberta and Calgary. Right on. We got folks coming from all over to join us. And if you're watching the recording and you can't jump into the chat, well, we know you're with us too. So we'll just hold space for that. Okay, let's see if I think I'm on to the second slide. Yes, we go. Okay. So our topic of the day is finding calm. And I want to start by looking at our nervous system and its overwhelm and working overtime. Most of us spend a lot of time with stress hormones flooding the system, particularly adrenaline and cortisol. We're proverbially fighting the saber-toothed tiger all day long. And this shows up in many different ways. And often we might be looking to what I'll call magic bullets, or like symptomology, herbal medicine, or pharmaceuticals to help us with things like disrupted sleep cycle, or impaired digestion, or a weakened immune system, or increased inflammation, or hypoglycemia, or dysregulated blood sugar, or anxiety, irritability, burnout, adrenal fatigue. All of these things often the most common way we go to work with them is to look at working with them individually, case by case in the setup that they are. But by working on just our sleep when we're overwhelmed, we don't get to our digestion, we don't get to our immune system, we don't get to our inflammation. And to me, they're all symptoms of the larger issue, which is basically that the body is going through this challenge constantly of being stressed all the time by cortisol and adrenaline, and this burns us out, particularly in as we get older. So when we're younger, many of us can handle this, and we build in that neurons that fire together, wire together. We build that constantly high pressure, high stakes. We can do this. We can overcome all challenges. But by our middle ages, this turns into burnout, and we see this showing up in all different things. So if you find yourself having a hard time with insomnia or sleep regulation, or you've got digestive issues, it may not be your digestion or your sleep that is the problem. It might just be that you've got prolonged stress constantly, and you may not even realize it because we've built this sort of protective mechanism against our own deficiencies sometimes, and we end up with these challenges, but we live with them until they outmode us and make themselves really, really present. So it is okay for us to feel all of these feelings. And I think something that gets lost in the modern world sometimes is that it's okay to feel grief and anxiety, anger, fear, overwhelm, hopelessness, helplessness, a mix of emotions. A lot of time we push these down with the I'm good. Are you good? I'm good. Of course, I'm good. But no, most of the time, what we really need is to really stay empathic and stay connected with each other. And empathy requires us to be in a topped up state, to be recovered. So it's important for us to share when we are feeling these things. And one of the best ways to restore our nervous system is to share it and to slow down and really work on what matters most, which is getting good sleep, restoring with healthy diet, maybe a physical exercise, connection with community. All of these things become really, really important. And I want to just start this talk off with, yes, we live in a world that is overwhelming and there's a lot of opportunity for stress. If we keep present to what's going on in the world, it'll very quickly overwhelm us often. I know a lot of people who have stopped watching news because it's overwhelming for them. And those of us that do still stay current with modern affairs, it can often feel hopeless because it's really hard to know, what can I do? How can I make a change in the world? All of us want to be part of something bigger and something with that focus of purpose. And so one of the things that happens is we often feel overwhelmed in this and anxious or angry or any of these feelings. It's okay to feel these things. What's more important is we have ways of moving them through us and we don't become them. In Chinese medicine, there's a very classic, even like the heart represents this kind of happy and joy emotion. Well, when we get too joyous, too manic, that can be a problem. Often with most of these emotions, there's a state of being it or a state of moving through it. And what I would invite is that all ancient medicine systems teach us about flow and about moving through. And so it's about moving through these feelings and not staying stuck in them. And that means we need a bit of recovery and we need community and connection. So I won't belabor that, but I just want to make sure that you are in alignment with it's okay to feel big feelings. This is part of being human, and not to shut those down or push them down as they just add to our stress level. It's about learning the resilience of being able to move through them and having some of those tool sets to support us along the way. So ancient wisdom really has a lot to share about modern stress, and we can go back to this. And one of the reasons I like to celebrate things like the Chinese New Year's or the pagan calendar is I believe that all these old world systems of energetic understanding have some deeper wisdom to them that teaches about the flow. Part of the reason Valentine's Day is it's right at the time of the year when we're feeling the saddest or we're feeling the lowest energy, and we need that boost of connection and love and whatever that might be. Same thing with reading week and all these things for university students. It's because we need that break during these winter months. And as of the recording of this webinar, well, we're going through that time right now. So one of the things that Chinese medicine really, and Ayurvedic medicine and Western herbalism all have in common is this understanding that to calm the nervous system without diluting the mind, building resilience to physical and emotional stress over time, helping to restore energy, supporting the body's natural ability to adapt and find balance. These aren't just kind of new age things. This is a time-tested understanding that plants are available to support us in this. And through the seasons, we're going to feel these things as we go along. So I want to give you some ideas around some lifestyle, different lifestyle things we can do to support our nervous system other than just working with herbs. Because as much as there's some amazing herbs, some good restorative tonics, it's important to think about how do we restore our nervous system so we don't end up with all of these conditions around feeling overwhelmed and sleeplessness and digestive and inflammation and chronic stress and cortisol buildup. So you probably all know this, but spending time with your community and family, getting out and connecting is one of the most valuable ways we can do this. The other next one that I'm a big fan of is finding hobbies and activities to take our mind off of the stresses of our life and bring us joy. For me, I've been doing Qigong tonight after this, I'm going to my Qigong class. And then I also am getting out and playing frisbee golf and going snowboarding and playing dodgeball to be active, but also making sure I'm getting out to dance temple and doing fun things that become hobbies around bringing activity into my life. For some people, that's going to the gym. For some people, that's birding or learning a new language. And I've been doing that as well. I've been madly learning my Spanish because I just want to keep my brain and my nervous system in that state. And I think this is a really big part of building resilience, is constantly engaging with new hobbies and activities that bring us joy and bring purpose into our lives. Not just, and it's hard. It's hard. I get it. If you are a parent or you have a high stress job, you can feel the like, I don't have enough time. How do I do these things? I don't have enough time. I will invite that you do, and it's just a matter of prioritizing yourself, because if you put all your energy into others or into work and don't prioritize yourself, well, guess what? Your work or the others you're trying to support, they will suffer too. So it's really important to top ourselves up and fill our cup before we start to fill others. Anyway, beyond like movement of body and mind and hobbies and spending time with community, it's obviously really important that we eat well as really important that we get some time in nature. Vitamin N is probably one of the best medicines there is, especially during the winter months. I know as of February, feeling it. I wish I was in Mexico kind of energy. Why aren't I getting out there and eating fresh fruits and vegetables? Well, there's plenty of amazing foods and plenty of amazing nature still to be had. It's just about bundling up in some cases, or really allowing ourselves to just be present with the moments, those short little windows of beautiful sunlight that we do get in the winter months. The other thing that's really important is get enough rest. Find some restorative practices. Make sure you're taking whatever proverbial shavasana you need to just slow down. For some of us, that means take an afternoon nap. For others, that means go to bed early. Whatever that looks like for you, however your cycle is, I highly invite that these are not just ideal, they are necessary in order for our nervous systems to stay regulated and grounded in these more turbulent times that we live in. So without further ado, I'd love to talk a bit about mushrooms and herbs and different ways. There are so many herbal tools that we can use to support our body throughout this. And it's really just not that hard to work with herbal medicine to help regulate our nervous system and support our energy levels and our vitality and work with stress. Many of the adaptogens have been these top herbs that have really supported this over the centuries. In Chinese medicine, there's a whole group of herbs called, well, a whole group of herbalism called Chinese tonic herbalism, and it speaks to many of our top adaptogens of the modern age. Now, of course, as we've kind of bridged into a much more world eclectic version of understanding holistic medicine, from Unani to Ayurvedic to Chinese to South American to First Nation, North American to South African to the Western European models. There's so many models of herbalism now, all fitting with a different kind of nuance to the energetics. But we see that these adaptogenic herbs actually show up in every ecosystem and just have maybe different categorizations. A good example is rhodiola. Was not traditionally a Chinese herb, but it fits into those adaptogenic tonic qualities and has the same energetics. So we're going to talk about a few of the Chinese herbs, but also some of the other modern ones. Maca is another good example of like a South American tonic adaptogen that is not a classic adaptogen, but fits into that same capacity to restore and help the body adapt. That's the kind of the idea of an adaptogen, adapt to the physical, mental, and emotional stressors. And each one of these herbs will have a different function in the body, but also a similar capacity to build resilience. And so these are some of the top herbs that I like to work with and that I want to invite you to kind of tune in with when it comes to supporting your body. The other one that's really just so popular these days, and I love that it is, but it also has created a whole wave in the market of products that are not always the best, but it's functional mushrooms. There are so many amazing benefits to functional mushrooms, provided you got high quality fruiting bodies, properly extracted in a form that is really bioavailable. And so, yeah, I want to talk about mushrooms a little bit because I think this is one of the best ways to build our resilience, especially mushrooms like reishi and lion's mane and cordyceps. But also nervines. And nervines are one of those categories that I think are really underutilized, and yet they help deal with the overwhelm in the nervous system. This is super important to think about when it comes to especially those of us who have a bit of insomnia or monkey mind or ADHD or anxiety or tension or overwhelm. These are all areas in which regulating the nervous system can be really powerful in supporting our health. So I'm a big fan of nervines. I take nervines almost every day. I find my general archetype is I get monkey mind, and I love to think through vision and create, and that also has a shadow quality of being overthinking, and to get out of my mind and calm my nervous system from any kind of anxiety and overwhelm. Nervines are really, really supportive and helpful. So these are the three categories I want to talk about tonight, and let's get into the herbs. First one is ashwagandha. You all know this herb. When I was reading the Sanskrit word, I always thought it meant to be strong like horse. And here we are into the year of the horse with that energy of momentum and movement and power, and how the drive that horse energy is, this really powerful energy. And ashwagandha doesn't mean to be strong like horse. The name Sanskrit loosely translates to smells like horse. And I think it's really funny to me how this is a herb that has become really popular, and yet right away it's misinterpreted. It's not strong like horse, it smells like horse, and it does have a really strong smell. I think this is just a great herb though, for really rejuvenating and nourishing the body. One of the best things about ashwagandha is it's not overstimulating. Many of the energy tonics can be. So it's commonly used later in the day, in the evenings. So it can be mixed in with some of our nervines or some of our things for people that have overwhelm or monkey mind at night, who can't calm down. So it's more yin than yang in nature. So more feminine in some ways, of like more grounding versus uplifting. And so this is about stamina and helpful in promoting kind of restful, restorative states. It's a really great herb for alleviating brain fog and memory. So really just enhancing that. So it's one that I like to put into our golden milk. We put into our Adapt tea, and it's one that is in our Radiance blend. And this is a new blend, kind of a new slash old. We really have been wanting to work with restorative tonic herbalism. And we had a few different iterations and versions of this from a powder form and now into a capsule form because we can add in higher concentrated extracts. And so we really can make these blends. And I'll talk a bit more about the restoratives as we go. But something I'm really excited about is being able to work with high quality extracts of ashwagandha and get that therapeutic dosage down to a smaller volume to really see the impacts that herbs like this can do. And that's where the radiance comes in. Okay. So, as a note, some people overdo ashwagandha. This does belong to the nightshade family. And so it's one of those ones that when you are at least getting an extract or you're getting the powder, making sure it's the ashwagandha root, not the leaf, and that you're getting a high quality. And you're not doing it excessively, although it's still fairly safe herb. Eleuthero is another one of these high-powered adaptogens, also known as Siberian ginseng, but technically it's not a true ginseng. So the name Siberian ginseng has had to be taken kind of redacted a little bit from it because ultimately in Chinese medicine, everybody wants to be a ginseng because there's so many great powers to ginseng. And yet we have like maca would be known as Peruvian ginseng, or suma, or ashwagandha is known as Ayurvedic or ginseng. But truly, Siberian ginseng or eleuthero was really heavily studied, mostly by the Russians and also by the Chinese, but to understand its ability to build resilience. And I think the Russians were looking for those to how to create super warriors or elite astronauts and people who were more resilient to hardship, being in the north. So herbs like rhodiola and eleuthero were heavily invested in the studies to understand them more. And so not only does this herb tonify the chi and really work as a neutral balancing herb for restoring energy and stamina, it also really helps to build and support stress resilience by acting on the hypothalamus pituitary axis and really improving adaptogen quality for physical and mental stress. So this one is a great herb. It's gentle and neutral in flavor. It's easy to work with. It's one that we have as kind of one of the top main herbs in our resilience blend. And this is one of the restoratives that's really about energy and recovery and improving vitality, and especially working with adrenal burnout and overwhelm in that system. So yeah, eleuthero is just a great herb. You can add it into your smoothies. We put it in our Adapt tea. Like I said, it's fairly gentle flavored. I think it tastes way better than ashwagandha personally, but it doesn't really have a lot of flavor. It's been heavily studied. There's a ton you can find on the internet around the benefits of eleuthero, but in a nutshell, what it is a really balanced, neutral adaptogen that has a lot of stamina and energy, resilience, restorative qualities. So love this herb and think more people should utilize eleuthero. The next one I want to talk about is another adaptogen is rhodiola. And this is really also known as kind of the Scandinavian or Norse, like Viking warrior herb. It was often used to enhance the hunt and endurance. And this is something that I think is important to think about is our ancestors were often had so much more hardship physically than we do. Most of our stress comes from almost imaginary stress, where we imagine that this is going to be the end of the world when often it's not. Like, I'm late picking up my kids. Oh my God, traffic's terrible. Like, we get overwhelmed by these things that are not like life or death the way that our ancestors had to fight. I mean, it was amazing to that people even survived through many of the harder times. And rhodiola and herbs like this were herbs that really helped with that kind of, especially in the north, with helping people with endurance and vitality through these really challenging times. But nowadays, we still have stress. We've got even more stress than ever, but a lot of it is perceived stress, as I was saying, based on where we're at. And so, yeah, let's talk about that for a second. This herb helps not just with like physical resilience, but also mental and cognitive sharpness. So again, that warrior sharp kind of energy, supporting the adrenals and recovering. I find rhodiola has a bit of a sour toning, tightening the tissues quality to it. It's a great one for just like protective energy, but I find that it's just great for burnout too, and for giving people long-term recovery. When I was doing my clinical herbalist program, we found a lot of people with adrenal burnout would do really well on rhodiola over a period of time, especially during the winter. So this is one that we've got in our Adapt tea, and one that I've been playing with in the formulating room, and we'll be producing more wonderful formulas for you soon. So it's definitely a favorite of mine. We've grown rhodiola. I grew up in Alberta and we had a big rhodiola patch. And I always loved tuning in with it because this is one that can handle that hardship of cold. And it really helps to balance and work with stress and fatigue. So not just mental fatigue, but also physical fatigue. So I love rhodiola. Highly recommend you tune in with that one. And maybe we just get the Adapt tea into everybody. And that would be one of the best ways to work with winter because it's got all three of those herbs we talked about so far. One more from the Adapt tea. Here we go. Schizandra. I really like the story around Schizandra the most. There's an old Chinese fable that give me Schizandra for 100 days, and my skin will be as clear as a porcelain doll, and all of my internal organs be renewed. This is a kind of a concept of Chinese medicine that this berry, when taken long-term and consistently, gives glow, gives beauty to the skin, makes us look more vibrant and vital, but because it's toning the internal organs. And by toning the way the body works inside, it reflects and emanates on the outside. And this is the truth of real beauty. It's not surface deep, it is into the internal. You can see somebody who looks vital and healthy, and it's not about physical beauty. Physical beauty is an attribute of being vital and healthy on the inside. And so, to me, that's probably one of the most important ways to look at our health is to gauge it based on how are we doing internally, and is that what's reflecting externally in that sense? Not just does the person have perfect features and an exact golden mean ratioed face and whatever it might be that our modern media tries to tell us is beautiful, because that's not real beauty. Beauty is far more than skin deep. And Schizandra is one of those herbs that can really tone the internal organs. It's called the 5-flavor berry. And I love this because here we have this berry that has sweet, sour, bitter, salty, spicy, all 5 flavors, which tap into all the meridian channels and work with toning all the different organ systems within the Chinese medicine wheel. And it's just a powerful, resilient, stress supportive, energy boosting, mental clarity focusing herb. It's in our Radiance blend as part of that like kind of longevity, tonic type quality for increasing our capacity to build resilience and stay young as we biologically get older, but our actual biological age can stay younger if we look at it from that, for where our telomere lengths are and all that kind of stuff. Schizandra is a great tonic that way. So love this herb. I'm gonna keep moving on because I know I got like 10 more herbs to talk about, and I'm just already feeling the pressure of the time constraints to try and value you all and not keep you too long here. So passion flower, this is one between, actually I'm gonna put these two together, passion flower and skullcap. So this is what I call the pepper, passion flower, and skullcap, the salt of the nervous system. So top nervines are skullcap and passion flower. Passion flower's got a lot of fame because it's just the most beautiful flower. It looks like an alien produced it from some other world, but it has a really, even just looking at it, has this like calming effect on the nervous system. You can really feel that. But it's become really popular for helping people with anxiety and sleep and soothing muscle tension. So it's really grown in popularity because North Americans are really restless and tense. Most of us are, and we don't sleep very well. And so herbs like passion flower can be really beneficial. We put it in our Feel Calm blend, and it's also in our Dream Tea. So really, essentially, this is one that I think should be looked at. Both like our passion flower and skullcap should be looked at pre going into pharmaceuticals for sleeplessness. We should be looking at some of these herbs. There's so many great ways in which plant medicine can support our health, and passion flower is just a really good for the nervous system. But my maybe personal favorite and biased is skullcap. I really like the qualities of skullcap. I feel that it really rebuilds a depleted nervous system, and especially something after long-term stress and burnout. And this is from my own heart. I went through this at one point in the early days of Harmonic Arts. I thought I could do everything, and I was often in the shop making orders till like midnight, trying to like get things done when staff weren't there. And I definitely suffered from overwhelm and depleted nervous system. And I found that both skullcap and passion flower, but particularly our Feel Calm blend, helped me to really regulate and rebalance my nervous system after going through that. And when we actually got enough support with our team to really become more sustainable, these herbs were there to help me rebuild back my resilience after feeling really burnt out for a little bit there. So I highly recommend, if you're in that state where you're feeling a bit burnt out and overwhelmed, maybe a Nervine formula like Feel Calm is the right medicine for you to help to reduce the tension in the body and get better restful sleeps and just really restore the nervous system. I find sometimes even when I get social anxiety, or I'm about to go out to an event or something like that, or do a talk like this, I'm like, oh, have a little bit of Feel Calm as a more of a, I'll call it the etheric dose, which is I have a bottle of this tincture and I'll just take a couple of drops versus like 2 to 3 droppers full or full dose. And I find this to be really helpful for my nervous system in dealing with overwhelm. Another herb that I won't take too much time on is chamomile. I find chamomile to be just a great soothing, gentle, relaxing herb. End of the day, chamomile tea or our dream tea is just really great way to work with relaxing. The other thing that people don't realize about chamomile is it's really good for the digestive tract in relaxing the tension in the gut. So if you're somebody with Crohn's, or you get like kind of irritable bowel, or even just a little bit of gluten intolerance and have what you think of as a spastic inflamed intestinal tract, chamomile can be one of the best herbs for just calming that down and restoring the body. So easy and favorite herb for a lot of us, and just easy to work with and make a gentle tea. Or our dream tea in this case is a good opportunity to work with a few different nervines to help relax the system. Into mushrooms, lion's mane has become the most popular mushroom of our time for focus. The concept is nerves of steel and memory of a lion. And the idea is to nourish the gut, the spleen, immune deficiencies, but really improve cognitive function and mental clarity. It has the capacity to stimulate nerve growth factors. And I do lots of talks on medicinal mushrooms. So check out our website for some of that information and go further into what we've shared around medicinal mushrooms. So I won't take too much time to talk about lion's mane and some of the other mushrooms. Just know that this is a great one for the nervous system regulation. I consider it a happy mushroom. So for a little bit of seasonal affective disorder, lion's mane can help boost up our energy, but also work with our cognitive mental clarity. And a lot of us feel, when we feel overwhelmed, brain fog comes in, or we want to tune into whatever is like easiest or down regulate. And maybe lion's mane can help keep us sharp and ease some of the anxiety so that we can get on with showing up in our best selves versus having to downregulate and take a bit of tune-out time, which is something that a lot of us have become really accustomed to, is like, call it dopamining and like scrolling or playing games on our phones, or doing just really passive versus active activities because we're too overwhelmed. Well, lion's mane might be there to support you, but same with cordyceps. Give the energy and drive and focus that we need to really boost super adrenal. This is one of the best ones for adrenal burnout. And something I've been seeing a lot of over the last 10 years is mostly middle-aged women, either approaching menopause or just before, where they've been playing the patriarchal game of like climbing the ladder for a period of time, and they're just feeling like their bodies are overwhelmed and burning out. I've seen a lot of middle-aged women in particular really burning out with adrenal burnout. And I feel like some of these herbs that were traditionally considered for like men to increase libido and energy and to give them more drive and vigor are actually way better female herbs for working with the overwhelm of trying to fit into a system that doesn't play into the natural strengths. And one of those is connection economy versus climbing ladder economy. And as we all climb ladders in life, sometimes burnout is the biggest issue. I see a lot of, especially women who have a couple of kids and a husband that's like managing another kid, and they're trying to work, get really burned out. And cordyceps is one of those ones to really support energy and work with a super adrenal tonic. Also find that this one helps to deliver more oxygenation to the muscles and prevent lactic acid buildup. So if you're somebody who likes to do workouts, cordyceps can be really supportive in that, just functionally giving better athletic performance and improving our physical vitality in that way. I see a question coming in here, and I'm gonna jump into the Q&A in a minute. Please put some questions into the Q&A if you want. But yeah, if you're here with us live, and cordyceps, as the question is really, can this be used if taking antidepressants? That might have been about lion's mane you're asking about. And absolutely, lion's mane is commonly used very safely. It's not like some of the other herbs like St. John's wort, where you might have some counterindications with SSR inhibitors. But cordyceps, yes. Another question is, can cordyceps be helpful with soft asthma? I would say the classic Chinese medicine is reishi and cordyceps together. Reishi grounds the lungs. Cordyceps opens up the ability to increase oxygenation to the cells and gets better oxygen into the lungs. So by calming the overwhelm that is asthma often in the lungs with reishi and oxygenating the cells with cordyceps, this is a classic one that's used. In Chinese medicine also, cordyceps was considered good for altitude sickness. So when you get too hard to breathe, which is kind of similar to what happens with asthma. Not quite the same. The lungs become more like sharp versus constricted. But yeah, these two are really good. Reishi being one of my favorite herbs. As of the recording of this, I think oh my gosh, my daughter turns 27 this year, and her name is Reishi. So I've been into this mushroom now for a long time. Reishi has been one of my favorite herbs or mushrooms. The mushroom of immortality, it's called. I won't take too long to talk about it. Just know that this is the most grounding in supporting with anxiety, insomnia, heart palpitations, all of these kind of immunomodulating qualities to build more stamina and endurance and calm down the overwhelm in the system. Reishi is the one. I love taking reishi when I go on an airplane. I often have a tincture where I'll just take a few droppers through. It's got antiviral qualities, so it's kind of like an internal mask in the circulated air on the airplane, but it's also really grounding when you're in a space. For me, being in an airplane feels really ungrounding. So reishi can help deal with that for me. And I find this to be one of my most invaluable favorite medicines to, again, have in my side satchel, so to speak, as a rescue remedy version of like grounding me and working with overwhelm. Very, very popular by the Taoist monks. One of the best herbs that way. So the last ones on my list are cacao. It has that anandamide love chemical in it. I really love cacao. I think, and just to kind of go back to these reishi and cordyceps, these are both in our resilience, restorative resilience blend. As part of the matrix of that is like reishi cordyceps based for our adrenal resilience, kind of restorative protective quality. Cacao we put into our kickstart, but also our 5 mushroom drinking chocolate. And man, does cacao ever have a good heart opening quality? What's important is you get a high quality cacao that's natural. I try to stay away from double Dutched or alkalinized chocolate or many of the commercial chocolates. Get a really good quality cacao, and then the chemistry has not been denatured. So cacao is not technically truly raw because when it ferments, it heats up above that like pure raw degree, but you can get a basically raw cacao that has not been sterilized and heat treated in that way. That's what we work with as a heirloom variety, an old world South American high quality variety of cacao. That's what I recommend. High antioxidants, magnesium, adaptogen qualities, and really just supporting vitality. And I think of cacao as the superior taxi driver to coffee. And you can put the two together, obviously, mochas are a thing, but cacao helps drive other ingredients deeper into the system. So making a hot chocolate with some of these tonic herbs, great way to deliver those into the system. Maybe adding in things like cinnamon and ginger and some of these other circulatory herbs, another great way to deliver some of these things in. But cacao being a really awesome antioxidant and kind of bliss anandamide producing herb, I think this is a really heart opening medicine as a great way to build restorative qualities and to ground us into what really matters, heart-centered life. They say when the heart is the primary organ of perception, the brain will entrain, which means the brain doesn't want to be alpha. It wants to be beta, to the heart being our primary focus place. So cacao can help get us there. Last one I want to put on this list is Shilajit. This is really growing in popularity. This is not about grounding. This is about energizing and anti-inflammatory and restorative quality. There's a lot to be said about Shilajit. Over 80 different minerals, highest natural source of humic and fulvic acid, which really help detoxify the body and really build, like pull out everything from heavy metals to radioactive isotopes, all this stuff. But what's important is we don't take too much Shilajit, because then that all gets into the bloodstream and we have challenges. We want to take small amounts and move that through the system. So half a gram of this max. This has become really popular for people restoring their energy. And we found this to be an amazing one for increasing bone density and working with postmenopausal women, but also older men that need energizing as well, or people who have weakened immune system and a weakened digestive system that are not getting all of their minerals. Shilajit can be a really good way to like pull out some of the toxic load and help energize and build the system. The name Shilajit is Sanskrit for rock warrior. So this is a herb of the rock. This comes out of the rocks in the summer months, almost like a tar that oozes out of the high Himalayas. And we actually have some in the high Andes and in the high Rockies. And this is a powerful one. Yeah. And so this is something to note is Shilajit is definitely a really great, but also cautious not to overdo this one, and make sure you get a high quality source. One of the things we've been really cognizant about is making sure we do third-party heavy metal testing and make sure our Shilajit is really pure, because well, it's become really popular, and it's always important. Anything that didn't die 10,000 years ago is still alive in the Shilajit. So in some cases, some Shilajits have come back with lead, arsenic, heavy metals in them. Even though they're really powerful for pulling out heavy metals, they can still be in there. So make sure you get a high quality Shilajit. You can trust Harmonic Arts in the sense that we've done a lot of third-party testing consistently. We spend more money testing this product than anything else because of those, the desire to make sure it's of the highest quality and safe for our customers. Yeah, okay, so one of the questions, I got a couple of questions here I'm going to just jump into and then get into a couple of products, and that'll be our time together, friends. The first question that came up around Shilajit is, what's the best recipe for working with it? Should we mix it with milk? And the question about milk comes from Ayurvedic medicine. Traditionally, Shilajit was mixed with milk, actually. It was mixed with some kind of fat, either ghee or milk, as a way to emulsify the minerals and emulsify the qualities of the Shilajit. It's a resin. It is more fat soluble than water soluble. And yes, it is water soluble, especially in the way we work with as a purified powder. But this is something that doesn't have to be done. But my favorite way to do Shilajit is to mix it with, like, no, it doesn't have to be hot milk or anything like that, but put it into a little bit into some kind of tonic. And usually for me, that's an elixir or a herbal latte where I'm adding in something like coconut milk or some kind of fat like a ghee or a grass-fed butter, because I enjoy those things. And yeah, so that would be the best way to take Shilajit. But I also find that you can just take a little bit in a shot of warmed water and shoot it back. That's another easy way to take Shilajit. The best way to take anything is with consistency. And so however you find it easy to do, that is the best way to take it. So sometimes things like Shilajit with milk is a great idea, but if it's not something you're doing all the time, shoot it back with a quick little shot of water, and then you're getting it into your system at least. Yes, some of those fat soluble compounds are better absorbed with a fat. Coconut milk is a great one and a traditional one that was used. Another question that came up here is, can herbs and mushroom tinctures be put into boiling water or tea, or does that destroy some of the properties? I think this is coming from two things that come with tinctures. One is alcohol. Not everybody likes the flavor of alcohol. It's strong and it's like abrasive to the system. Two is people are worried about the alcohol content. And three is, yeah, like the taste. So yes, you can totally put tinctures into a little shot glass of boiling water or tea. I've seen some people just dilute it in apple juice being one of the favorites, or some kind of syrup or sweet, like we have an elderberry syrup. I see some people take their, like for example, one of my favorite ones is taking our viral support tincture and putting 2 droppers into the elderberry syrup and making that a shot. Amazing way to work with it. The issue with alcohol is not actually as big of an issue as people realize, in the sense that a tincture, a whole bottle, has as much alcohol as a glass of wine does in it, but you're drinking it over 21 days. So the actual amount of alcohol people are getting in tinctures is very small. It's just that it's one of the best solvents for pulling out all of these hard to digest compounds. So it really makes it a powerful medicine for us. So I highly recommend. Tinctures are usually a better extraction, or going with herbal extract powders for some of those herbs that are really made with chemistry that is challenging for us to digest and break down ourselves. Non-water soluble compounds like terpenes and saponins and some of the antioxidant compounds and volatile oils that we don't always digest as well. So yeah, tinctures are great that way. Okay. As we kind of just round out the bottom of this, there's a lot of easy ways to work with herbs in your routine, whether it's capsules, teas, tinctures, herbal lattes are a favorite of ours, functional mushroom powders. We tried to build Harmonic Arts in a way of supporting you with the ability to build out your own elixir and your own herbal lattes, where you can start with our latte blends, but you can add tinctures into that. You can make them out of a herbal tea. You can put in some of the functional mushrooms, or really work with some of the herbs and the restoratives, open the capsule, put it into your herbal latte. All of this can become one drink. And it doesn't need each one can be its own individual experience. So whatever is the best way that is fitting in your routine is the best way to work with herbs. They say compliance is king or compliance is queen, whatever it is. The only way herbs work is if you take them. And so it's important to find what is your routine and what is the best way to work with them realistically that you're going to actually take them consistently. The biggest issue I see with adaptogens and functional mushrooms is people chronically underdose them or don't take them consistently and long enough in order to really get the benefits out of them. So that's really important. How are you going to take these consistently? Okay. And add in your questions here or in the Q&A. I'm going to talk about just a couple of our blends. These are fairly new to us. We just launched this year the Radiance, or I guess last fall, the Radiance and the Resilience. And these are new tonics to us. Radiance is a blend of herbs that are really good for promoting longevity and kind of beauty from the inside out, building the radiance of the body so it's more radiant. And as we've seen from both the literature and from some anecdotal testimonials from people who have started taking these are really good for people going through perimenopausal years and menopause to be more radiant. Some of the herbs in here, they're not just for women. Men can do well being radiant as well, because many of these herbs work with both. But I think ultimately the design of a formula like this is more for beauty from the inside out and to age with grace. Herbs like shatavari, the kind of translation for that word, shatavari, is she who slays 100 men. Very much consider this like female warrior energy, stamina building herb. Tremella is a mushroom of beauty and considered one of those ones to help promote elasticity and skin to stay supple and nutritive, kind of a very nutritive mushroom. Cloud mushroom. The ashwagandha, as we talked about, to smell like horse. No, to be stamina building and strong and energizing. White peony is another one of these really hormone balancing herbs that is a restorative tonic. And of course, Schizandra, as we talked about, skin like a porcelain doll and internal organs renewed. This is all mixed together with kelp, which is one of our favorite for really increasing mineral load and working with suppleness of the body and working with the metabolism to really strengthen the metabolism to function as we age, and ginger to work with circulation and all of those kind of good things. So I'm going to answer some questions as we go after in a minute. I see some piling up, which is awesome. Last couple of slides I want to share with you before I pull it off the slideshow and get into just questions is the resilience blend. So we've got radiance and resilience, and these two are kind of like hand and like they're both very different, all different herbs, but function together. I'm seeing people take both and feel like this is exactly what I need to have this like energy and restorative of resilience, but also this glow and internal renewal and longevity enhancing of the radiance. This resilience is more of a formula designed to work with performance and recovery, especially adrenal burnout, especially supporting stress and overwhelm. All these herbs are top hitters for this. We talked about eleuthero, reishi, cordyceps. We didn't talk about ginseng, but the Panax ginseng is a powerful adaptogen for helping build and restore our resilience. Eucommia bark is one that I've really loved over the years for more like joint health and to build recovery in, especially for those of us that are hard on our joints. It's really good for that and flexibility and stamina that way. Pine pollen, which is a high androgen that really supports our body in getting more testosterone and energy and lean muscle mass, as well as cardiovascular support and antioxidants, and pepper as the circulatory stimulant that increases absorption and gets the herbs where they got to go. So between radiance and resilience, these are two new products we're really excited to be bringing to the world for these turbulent times where we need to be restorative and use herbal medicines to help restore our health. Other ways you can work with Harmonic Arts, and some of these are 5-mushroom drinking chocolate is our most popular herbal latte, an easy way to get the medicinal mushrooms into you. Our golden milk is another one that's another great latte for having the ashwagandha and turmeric and cardamom and pepper and all these great ingredients that way. Kickstart is one that is based on energizing herbs, but also kind of starts with that maca mesquite cacao base for giving more of that like tonic base. And some of these lattes are amazing. If you're looking at nervines, things like our dream tea is a dream team for working with nervous system overwhelm. And this is just a really powerful blend of chamomile, passion flower, skullcap, oat straw, and catnip. Catnip really works with overwhelm in the system. Oat straw really nourishes. All of these herbs help with sleep, but also nervous system support and anxiety. So it doesn't have to be just a sleep formula. It's not just for dreaming. It's for those of us with a bit of anxiety, tension, and overwhelm too. During the middle of the day, not going to put you like conk you out. Feel Calm, on the other hand, has valerian in it. And this one, it's small doses that are amazing for overwhelm and anxiety. But it's large doses that I find are good for sleep and insomnia. So for restful sleep and nourishing, you want to take a physiological dose of 2 to 4 like milliliters. For anxiety and tension, you want to take 0.5 milliliter to really just kind of top that up and work with overwhelm. And I find this one to be great for me. Works really well for me. Between this and reishi, I find that to be great. So okay, those are my slides, my friends. I took a little bit of time to go over. It's hard for me to keep it to 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I just want to talk to you all night long. Happy Chinese New Year's for those of you joining us live. Remember that cultivating resilience through herbal medicine is about working with adaptogens and nervines and some of these medicinal mushrooms. The greatest benefits come from taking them daily and intentionally weaving them into our routine. So plants love to be with us. They want to connect. They want to be part of our community. They walk through us. They've been with us through time out of memory. They are some of the best resilient supporting allies, especially during these turbulent times. So lean on your plant allies, tune in with them, build relationships with plants, and start to see that this is one of the best paths forward for resilience. So thanks for joining me. You can, and there will be a follow-up that gives you all of these this PowerPoint presentation, and you can stop it and check out any of the slides you want to and go back and watch it in a follow-up email. But you're also getting 10% off of our Radiance or Resilience if you were part of this webinar. So if you're interested in those are two amazing new offerings from Harmonic Arts that I'm really stoked to share. So thanks for joining us. Make sure you check out some of our other webinars and yeah, tune in. And I'm going to jump off my screen share, stop sharing here, and answer some questions. Okay, so for those of you who are still with us, really appreciating you taking the time, and I'm going to go through a couple of the questions. I'm going to start with the Q&A and then go back to the chat. So if you got any further questions in the chat, that's great. So Jennifer is asking, are these new products in appropriate doses for teens? Have they been I've been treating a teenage girl with some herbs and mushrooms with good success so far. So yeah, the thing with teenagers, and I'll just put it in, is that there's cycles of all of our lives, and in teenage years, we're moving through this cycle of transition. Now, our bodies are physically the size of adults most of the time, but we are not quite, our hormonal levels are really in a whole flux of change. So these are perfect times for us to be working with adaptogens and stress resilient herbs. So I would definitely see herbs like blends like the Radiance blend being really good for a teenage girl going through a lot of hormonal changes to help the body. Because here's the thing about herbal medicine is it's not like single directional, especially tonics and adaptogens. They tone the body's ability to be more resilient and find the best path forward. Remember that the body knows how to heal itself. It's not up to us like using herbal medicine to heal the body. We use the herbs to help tone the body so that it can find its own healing and to support it with the right ingredients. And I'll call it like chemistry wisdom so that the body heals. And so in the case of a teenage girl, yeah, hormonal herbs, hormonal supportive herbs that aren't just like flooding the system with extra hormones, but are actually toning the uterus, toning the ovaries, supporting the liver to break down metabolize and detoxify excess load, dealing with the overwhelm and stress in the digestive tract and the inflammation in the system in general. These are all amazing qualities that some of these herbs really can support the body with. And so this is ideal for times of transition. So not just menopausal years, but also those transitions in teenage youth would be a great time to work with like resilience or radiance, sorry, the Radiance blend as an example. Yeah, that's that question. I'm going to go to the chat and see if there's any other ones. I see if one just popped out right away. Should women use pine pollen from Cindy? And the answer is yes and no. It depends. So one thing to understand is that testosterone is a fairly abundant hormone. Women have far more testosterone than they do estrogen. It's just that estrogen is a far more powerful hormone. So if women want to build their lean muscle mass and tone their body to be more toned, if they find that they've got some prolapse or sluggish system, pine pollen is an amazing ingredient to support toning the body, right? So I really invite that this is for men and women, not just for men, even though it has androgens in it that are classically considered to like be precursors for testosterone, and pollens in general are the male aspect of the flower or of the pollination. So they give you more of those plant hormones that are more masculine in their energetic. But this can be really helpful for toning and energizing the body. Also, pine pollen has a lot of antioxidants. So even just for the antioxidant load and the amino acid load that is in pine pollen, it's a powerful one for really restoring the body. So I totally think it's absolutely fine for women. But if you're already overfiring, then maybe pine pollen is not the right herb for you. So it's really an energetic thing there, but absolutely fine. in that way for most people. Going through, okay, TMS therapy, and there's a theory that the brain is being activated. What herbs or herbal combinations would be best to support this therapy? Um, so basically, new ritual pathways are being formed to support the energetic body as it finds its new way to being. I really think nervines, and I think mushrooms like lion's mane and reishi are what come up right away for me in supporting the body. And this is a question from Nicole G, really supporting the body and finding new pathways. And I'm going to take this like one step out to where we're at right now. Like we are in a really powerful transition time. And I'm going to take it to this Chinese New Year's again. Something I was looking at was the last time of the fire horse, where we've just moved into, was 1966. And this was 60 years ago. This was the Chinese Revolution, and this changed everything in China, this whole revolution of mindset. This was also when the beginning of the protests against the Vietnam War and the whole enter the hippie era, where thought revolution was a massive, powerful upheaval of the status quo of current times. And I know you all know this, but we are in a current time where the status quo is not okay and things are like need to be changed. We all feel it. And so I feel like supporting, and the way I'm going, where I'm going with this is supporting new neural pathways and new ways of showing up in the energetic body is what we all are needing right now. And so mushrooms like reishi and lion's mane are really powerful for supporting that, really beneficial, but also nervous system restoratives like skullcap and passion flower, milky oats and lemon balm and holy basil, and all of these kind of like, and blue vervain. There's a bunch of these herbs that are, to me, some of the best ways to calm the overwhelm down so that we can actually be present to create the more beautiful world that we know is possible. And I think this is a big miss for a lot of people, that we're stuck in overwhelm. And by being stuck in overwhelm, we're firing on the old nervous system pathways all the time because that's what the body knows. So part of this grounding and resilience is about finding new pathways. Anyway, sort of go on a little bit of a tangent there, but this is to me something near and dear to my heart, is that so many people have beautiful gifts they're not accessing because they're overwhelmed, and they have something to bring to the world in a powerful way just through connection with their community, through connection with their family, that is a miss because they're feeling overwhelmed. So how do we take down that load a little bit so we can show up in our more beautiful selves? Shilajit, so question from Joy, is Shilajit a combo or is it a single herb? Really quick, Shilajit is a resin, not a herb at all. It's 10,000 years of compressed ecosystems that ooze out of the rocks in the high summer heat. So this was originally or looked at by the Ayurvedic practitioners because monkeys would climb out on the hot summer days into those hot like rocks and scrape at them and eat this tar off the rocks. And it seemed unintuitive because it's super hot out and you want to stay in the shade during those times. And they found that this was Shilajit, and it was super good at building resilience and restoring the body and energizing it. So they were willing, these monkeys were willing to risk getting out of the jungle, climbing the mountains in this hot day, sweating off like crazy in order to get at this stuff. And so, yeah, it's a single herb, but not really a herb. It's a resin that oozes out of the rocks, and is really 10,000 years of compressed ecosystems. Yeah, and another question from Allison, what do you mean by tone or toning physically? Yeah, I guess the whole, let's take it to tonics. The idea of a tonic is something that naturally tones the system. So think of it as like doing Pilates or doing a workout for an internal organ or for the body systems. Tightening and toning is what I mean by like physical toning. So it's not like color of skin, but skin tone could be a little bit around like how tight is my pores and how like strong is my tone of my the energy it's giving off. This comes from speaking in energetic language, and so it's not always as trackable in our modern world scientific perspective. But the concept of toning in an energetic language is about uh, pulling in and tightening and strengthening our shield, almost like from a Chinese medicine, they have something called the defensive qi, and it's called wei qi, and it's this protective almost auric field that protects us. And so by toning that, we're tightening and allowing like pathogens and foreign ideas to not influence us and get in there. So that's something to really note on what I mean by toning, is to like tighten up our bases so that nothing penetrates that shouldn't be, or so we don't get so persuaded by other people's ideas or pathogens to give us colds and flus or any of that stuff. Many of the restorative and tonic herbs, that's what they do, is they tighten and tone and build the resilience that way. Okay, my friends, thanks for staying in there. Last question I'm going to answer is understanding that alcohol kills bugs, both good and bad. Why alcohol-based tinctures versus glycerin? This is a great question. A lot of people these days, we're really in this like alcohol-free world where people are not drinking the way their parents did, and they're really trying to avoid alcohol. So why not glycerin? Why wouldn't we go to glycerin-based tinctures? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is alcohol is far more effective at pulling out many of the active compounds. So glycerin is a fairly okay preservative. It can give a shelf life of 2 years, but it doesn't do a good job of pulling out terpenes and alkaloids and saponins and a bunch of really great compounds. So traditionally, alcohol has been used to pull those compounds out. And again, yes, alcohol can kill the good bugs and the bad bugs in our microbiome if we're doing too much alcohol. But a tincture is really quite a small amount of alcohol when you really put it in perspective. 1 milliliter of alcohol, if you took a shot of tequila, that's 28 milliliters. One shot of tequila, that's 28 droppers full of tincture. So one dropper is very, very small comparatively. So I really would yeah, I would just invite that there are ways to remove the flavor of alcohol, but alcohol itself is a great delivery system for herbal medicine. In the modern world, it's been used maybe the wrong way with too much alcohol, but that's a whole nother philosophical question around why alcohol. Essentially, it's not in the volume that's going to kill good bugs, but it is really necessary to pull out those bioactive compounds and make them available for the system. All right. Thank you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Happy Chinese New Year's. May the forest be with you. May you live long and prosper. Get on out there into the world and show up in your more beautiful selves. Let your hearts be open. Don't close down. Use tonics to tone and restore and build your system so you can show up in a powerful way. All right. We'll see you soon.